Hello, everyone, and welcome to Soul and Story. We're back from our summer break, but welcome to a place where Christian writers of all walks and levels find faith rooted encouragement and a strong foundation in the craft of storytelling. I'm Sara R. Turnquist, in case you forgot, multi published, clean / Christian historical romance author, and we're glad that you're here.
We are. It is good to be back, isn't it, Sarah?
Yes, it was a nice break. We really needed it. We didn't realize we didn't say goodbye to you guys on our last podcast to let you know that we were taking a break because we didn't know that we needed it so badly. But we appreciate
Exactly.
your patience with us while we did take that break without warning.
Yes. And I think I'm Cindy Smith, and I am in the process of getting my first novel ready to go to publish. Yay! I'm very excited. And I think going forward, we're going to take June and July off every year. That'll be our hiatus. But yeah, we are so glad that you're back with us. And I am just really excited for today's guest.
Yeah, our guest today is one of the writers that Cindy and I have the privilege of hearing from actually a couple of times a month. She's part of our local writers group, Pen and Purpose. She is just a wealth of information, and we are so thrilled to share her with you today. She is a best-selling fantasy romance author who writes mortal crossed with immortal forbidden romance featuring Black heroines in worlds where Gothic cinema meets fantasy. And I have enjoyed a couple of her books so far, and they are just so gripping. Anyways,
Mm.
when she's not crafting fantasy romance worlds, she can be found with her nose in a book, curating romantasy book boxes. Turn that off, Cindy.
I am.
Yeah. Sorry,
Sorry.
everybody. But she's curating romantasy book boxes for readers, which is something I really want us to talk about today. Or she is exploring new ways to bring her stories to life through signed editions and immersive book experiences. Something else for us to talk about. There's just so much for us to dive into here. But without further ado, allow me to introduce Angela J. Ford.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, can you
Yes,
tell
we're
us a little bit about you and maybe something that you like to do for fun, where in general we're hailing from, and all that kind of thing?
Yeah, definitely. So, one of the fun things about me is I grew up in Alabama. I started writing when I was 12 because I always have loved storytelling. And I really wanted to just tell the stories my way and kind of twist
Mhm.
things around in a way that made me very excited. I have four sisters, and one of the really fun things I enjoyed doing as a teenager was we had a band. And I absolutely loved booking all of the shows, getting us out there, doing a lot of the marketing for getting us known. And so that was something that always stuck with me as I went to college. Writing always stuck with me. And then the marketing piece always kept popping up over and over again because I really love that connection and bringing people together and getting them excited about something creative. And so
Mhm.
I guess that kind of brings me full circle. That is really where I started and what I still do today.
Oh, that's awesome.
Awesome.
I love that. I did not know the part about the band and
Yeah.
that's just
Mhm.
really cool. Does she still have a band? Does she still sing?
No, no, I'm not doing the band thing anymore, but that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, I have to say that for Christmas last year, Sarah gave my daughter your book and she could not put it down. She loved it. And then I have the book that you just released and she loved that book too. And it has inspired her to want to
Amazing.
continue writing. So can you tell us about the books that you write?
Yes. So I actually started out writing epic fantasy. So very long, intense, like world building series where you need to sit down and like make sure you devour all of them over time. And it really burned me out. And one of the reasons that I started writing series was because everyone said, if you are an indie author, and you're serious about making money, then you need to write a series so that people can grab the first book, and then that's where you lose all your money, and then the rest of the series is where you can actually make your money. And so, I sat down to follow that advice, and I was exhausted, and I was like, I love reading fast-paced stories. I love reading things with like a hint of like mystery and has some thriller and suspense. I love like lush prose and
Mhm.
really being able to like visualize and see the world. And I thought, why am I not writing that? And so I just like stopped with the epic fantasy and I moved over to the fantasy romance and I started writing those fast, quick paced stories. You can really sit down and read them. They're absolutely perfect if you want to, if you're reading a long series and you're like, I just need a break from this. Those are the kinds of stories I write. And so Mage Bride was actually the first story that I wrote that had like an element of a mystery in it. And so
Mm.
that was very fun because I got to really play into that a little bit more. And then my latest release, Greed of Giants, is very focused on the lush prose and then also really honing in on some deeper themes like consequences and dealing with like how to deal with our mistakes, and then realizing that maybe the thing that we have striven for our entire life, maybe that isn't what we're here on earth for, and
Mm.
really understanding like purpose and just really focusing on the actions that we take and the consequences that they can bring about, and that we always have a second chance for redemption. So that really was some of the themes I tried to pull into that story as well.
That's
Yeah, I love it.
awesome. And you have given us a great example of how some advice may be good across the board, but not for every single writer. So, I mean, because you have done quite well for yourself without writing a series, as though even though you've been indie and it just wasn't for you as a writer. It just, as you said, it exhausted you. So this is news to our readers in case you didn't know this. Some advice that may be good may not be for you the best thing. But as we're here talking about the importance of marketing, I wondered if you could give us maybe your top three marketing tips for authors who are trying to build their audience and or that dreaded word platform.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. So, one of the things that I tried to focus on was number one, I would say set your goals and decide like where do you want to see yourself a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now.
Mhm.
That piece is very important because a lot of the advice out there is good advice, but you have to be able to determine, is this good advice for me and my
Yeah.
goals? And if you don't have any goals, then you'll always be spinning your wheels because you won't know what is important to you. So set the goals first, and then when the advice comes, you can say, okay, yes, that will help me achieve this goal in 1 year or 5 years, and that will help. So for me, it was really important to focus on brand awareness and getting my books in front of new audiences all the time. And one of the easiest ways to do that is via social media. And so one of the things that I was very focused on is picking one platform to go all in on, not a dozen, just one. And then also
Mhm.
focusing on what am I really offering readers? And for me, I'm not telling them about myself. I am not like the celebrity of my brand at all. It is all about the books. And so, in order to do that, I wanted to show them, okay, here's what they look like. So, making something beautiful, because if it's
Mhm.
beautiful, it's easier for them to pause. So, really, the aesthetics. And then also, the other thing is the thing that sells books is the book itself. So
Mhm.
people love quotes, they love teasers, and it's so easy to go in and just pull those things out and share them on social media and
Mhm.
ask questions and say things like, okay, what grabbed your attention first here? Here's a quote. Oh, you have to read the rest of the book to find out what happens next. So things like that that really get people excited and interacting. And you wrote a book, so you have all of the content right there. It's just a
That's
matter of
true.
taking it out into, like, little tiny pieces and sharing it. And
Yeah.
so for me, that was it was very easy to do that on social media. The platform I picked was Instagram, and that was it. And that's still to this day where I am and what I do, instead of like trying to hop around different places. The other piece I would say for building your platform is having a way to funnel readers off social media into something that you own so that you can drive those sales and like really market to them. Because the marketing funnel, like there's one piece in being visible and aware to people, and that is social media. But the second piece is like closing the sale, and I like to call that the conversion piece. And so that really is going to be focused on, do you have a website where they can go? Do you have a newsletter where they can go? Do you have like maybe just some automation that's set up? And so I do mini chat, which is a tool that I can connect to Instagram. And so readers can just comment with a keyword, and then I have this automated message that goes into their inbox right there on Instagram, and then they can just respond that way. And that's a great way to keep them on the platform, but yet get them to start buying the books or even start having a conversation with me so I can close the sale with them. So
Mm.
that's what I would recommend. Like, set your goals, pick one thing to start with, and then double down and focus on being like the absolute best at that one platform.
That's awesome. I
Yeah,
love that.
I do really like how within what you're saying, kind of underneath it, is this need to understand your customer as well, understand your audience. And you chose a platform that really matched with your goal. I want to point that out to everybody, that you talked about the aesthetics being very important to you. Well, of course, then a platform that focuses on visuals is going to be the ultimate goal, seeking help for you. So I love that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you're amazing at having how you've set up your aesthetics. I love the colors that you choose. I love, and it's all, even though the books are different, there is a thread that you're like, oh, that's an Angela book. It's
Mhm.
something that people can look at and they can see, oh, this is from Angela.
Yeah.
That is something that as I'm starting out, I think it's something I'm wanting to remember. How can I create that? How would you say marketing a romantasy book or a fantasy book is different from marketing other books?
I would say it's not so different. I think one of the things that a lot of people get stuck with when it comes to marketing is they think that what I have is like super unique. And so no one else knows how to market this. But the mechanics of marketing are pretty much exactly the same. If I was marketing, like if I had plants that I was trying to market, it would be pretty similar. I would show off what they look like and then talk about, okay, these are some of the benefits, these are some of the reasons why you'll want to buy it. And so when you kind of like dumb it down to that level, it's the same for marketing a book or a candle or like any other product. The mechanics are the same. It's just you're going to go about it a little bit differently. If I'm marketing an epic fantasy book, or if I'm marketing like a mystery thriller, the things that I'm going to talk about are probably going to be the same. I'm going to show off the book and be like, oh, look, here's the book. Here's what it looks like. And then tell you a little bit about here's what's inside. Here's some of the reasons why you will want to read it.
Yeah,
Mm, I
excellent.
like that. I like that because I do think that we do get that stuck in our heads, and not only do we think that it's different than marketing other products, we think that marketing a romantasy is going to be vastly different than marketing a mystery, but there are common elements, of course, that you can lean into. And I think that maybe there are some nuances that are different, but I agree with you that it's really, by and large, it's the same. The
Mm.
principles are the same. You're absolutely right about that. I love hearing about your book boxes. So I have had the privilege, and Cindy has too, to see some of the offerings that you have in your book boxes. And I highly recommend our readers and viewers out there. We'll link her website below, and maybe even her Instagram, so you can see some of these things that she offers in these book boxes, to see the kind of setup that she has. But I would like to hear you as well share with us what you offer in a book box and what kinds of response you get to these boxes.
Yeah, definitely. So the ideal from this actually came from, gosh, me and my husband working together. So back in 2018, I had my epic fantasy series. I completed it. I released it at this box set. I ran a lot of ads on Amazon, and it hit the top 500 on Amazon, which was incredible. And it was on the bestseller chart. It was making tons of money, and I just felt that I was so out of control of the
Mm,
process.
mm,
And it was wild to think about because it's something that anyone else who would have been in that position would have been like so happy and like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I was very grateful for that. But it also showed me, I was like, all of my eggs are in one basket. And I don't want to have to sit here and deal with the Amazon algorithm and always figure out Amazon's changing. So now my income is going down. I wanted a little bit more control over it. And
mm,
so Amazon is great for visibility. I have all of my books on Amazon, but the number one thing I wanted to do was I was like, I want to have a more of a connection with readers and really get my books into their hands. And
mm,
so I've always loved like e-commerce and working on websites. And so I started there. I was like, okay, I'm going to do a pre-order campaign and sell books directly to readers. I'm going to offer them something that, they can't get on Amazon. That's the number one thing. So I started with a paperback. I would not recommend starting with a paperback, but I did. You have to start somewhere. And then I did some art prints that went with it. And that was a complete failure. So 3 months later, I just came right back and I was like, all right, round two. So I started out with another book. And then I got a hardcover done. And I always have like a dust jacket with the characters on it. That's how you know it's an Angela J. Ford book. But then you take off the dust jacket, there's a beautiful case design underneath. The moment I posted that case design on Instagram, it went wild. Everyone came running to the shop to buy it. I had a pre-order bonus, which was just something super easy. It was like a sticker. Um, Everyone came running to get the pre-order bonus. They were trying to like, I only had 100 bonuses, so they were trying to like sign up and buy the product before the bonuses ran out. And so that was very exciting. That taught me that, okay, I need to offer something a little bit more premium. And then after the book came out, my husband was like, let's do a box. He was like, let's make candles. And so we played around with like making candles. We did the box and that took off too. And so after that, I was like, okay, I have a roadmap. We're going to do a book. It has to be a hardcover. It has to have the dust jacket. It has to have this beautiful case design. I'm always going to offer an art print and a bookmark with it because you cannot get those on Amazon. So that right there is a pull for readers to come to me because everyone can get the exact same hardcover on Amazon. So for me, it was like, okay, what can I give them that they can't get there? So
mm,
signed art print bookmark, and then the book boxes also include the candle. And then after that, I was like, okay, something else that's small and little. And so sometimes it's stickers, sometimes it's a coffee mug, sometimes it's a page overlay, like they're transparent, like it's artwork, but it's kind of transparent. You can just lay it over a page. And so it's kind of like having like almost like a visual inside the book that you can put in there as you read. And so just there are all kinds of different fun things, but I always want to make sure it was something that was very easy to pack into the box and easy to ship out. And so yeah, that's really where it started, and things have improved from there. I did my first special edition. I want to say it was like 3 years ago. Tried the special edition, and that immediately took off. And so I think when it comes to book boxes, one of the things to do is start small. Like you don't have to start with like this huge, amazing box, but just start small and add on and continue to improve with everything that you do. And then it'll actually become something. And that's my philosophy for everything that I do is just really start small. Don't get overwhelmed with trying to make everything perfect. Just start. and then you can improve as you go along, and you'll learn something new every time you do something new. So yeah,
Yeah.
the book boxes are my favorite. I actually really focus in on like marketing psychology a little bit with setting that up on the website, because I do offer, I have 4 formats that I offer. Actually, no, 5. I always do paperback, which is the cheapest, and it does not sell well, but that's not the point. The point is to show someone a low price. And then a hardcover that sells really well. I do a standard book box with the standard hardcover. Then I do a special edition, which is probably at that $50, $55 price point. And then a deluxe book box, which includes the special edition. And it also will include maybe like 1 or 2 other things that the standard book box does not include. And so that is closer to $100. Those are the most popular things. Usually people come to buy a special edition hardcover or a deluxe book box. Everything else is just helping them make that decision to get to like the most expensive thing on the site. And
Mm.
I run ads to those because those are the people that want that premium edition. These are not the people that want to go on Amazon and buy an ebook for $4.99. They're not the people that have a Kindle Unlimited membership and just want to borrow something. And so I think that's very important to make that distinction, because when I first started, I had built my email list out of people that wanted something free or an ebook. And so I did not get a lot of sales from my list. But as I ran ads and was able to like build, now I have a list of people that want the premium offering, and then they come running.
Yeah.
Mm.
Where do you do your ads? Where do you run your ads? Because I think that would be very helpful. Because I'm trying to learn all this, so I feel like you're kind of being a coach for me today. So
I run my ads on Meta. I run them in the Facebook feed and the Instagram feed. I also do like the real format as well. And then I only run the sales or conversion ads, because they're connected to my website. And then every time a sale is made, then Meta knows that, okay, we ran this sale and it showed up in the Facebook feed to this group of people that were this age, and they went to her website and they made a purchase. And so they know to show it to more of those people so
mm,
that they can keep driving the purchase. Because I say, my goal is to make money. I need you
right.
to find the people that are going to buy, and then it does that. Sometimes I also run these awareness ads, and those are really based on like a video, like through play on Meta. Again, the feed and the reel, that's really it. Sometimes I have threads on there too, but that's pretty new. People are very like happy to engage on threads. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But those are really the big places to focus on. And the awareness ad helps me build like a warm audience. And so then I can do a lookalike audience on Meta and then drive those people to the website to buy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the key thing.
Yeah.
How
I
how
did
did
want
you?
to I did want to say real quick before you continue, Cindy. I think that I also want to point out, not I think, I do want to point out something else that you said, Angela, that is a huge tenet of marketing as an indie. You said that you tried something and it didn't work, but instead of getting discouraged and saying, well, I guess that's not going to work for me, you tried something different. So I think experimenting is something that we can do as indies that not all trad published authors can do. Some can, but not all can. And so it's something that I think we would be remiss to not take advantage of. And so when something doesn't work, that version of it doesn't work. If you had just said no book boxes for me, you would have missed out on this amazing opportunity that you have had to build your audience and to connect with readers and to get books out there. So just because the paperback didn't work, it doesn't mean that the idea is not sound. So
Yeah.
I just want to point that out real quick before Cindy takes
Oh yeah.
over.
No, and my question was going to be like, what research did you do to figure out what your readers wanted? Was it just like trying the different things? Because like my daughter is into fantasy, and like she like the boxes would just appeal to her. The more things that she can have related to the book or whatever it is she's into, like she would have all of the boxes in her room on display. You know, that's and I think that's very, very common among people that read that genre. So like how would you recommend writers find what it is that their audience is wanting from them?
Oh, I love this question. Okay, so I would say the most important thing is to know your audience and go hang out where they are hanging out. So, for example, I know like during COVID, TikTok became like this huge thing, and there were all these people on like book talk, and you go into like a bookstore and you see like the book talk section, and you can see all of the books and all of like all the other little things that go along with it. And so that's one thing. I like to go into the bookstores and just kind of like look at everything and go, okay, wow, this is what's going on. The other thing is hanging out where the readers are on social media. So there are a lot of like big influencers, book influencers on both Instagram and TikTok. And so going into like their profiles and looking at the content that they post, what they're excited about, and then interacting with them is a huge way because now you're acting like a reader that's really excited about the genre you're writing in. And so I always try to think about it in that lens. Like, pretend I'm a reader that's very excited about fantasy romance. What am I going to do? Who am I going to be listening to? What am I going to be reading? What am I going to be watching? And just hang out there. I used to, back in the day, I used to do Facebook groups. I don't do Facebook anymore, but there were a lot of Facebook groups where you could get a lot of that information and I could just like hang out and just like read the conversations that were happening and understand, oh wow, readers love this, or they like that, or they don't like this. One of the other things I do is a lot of research. This is actually something that a lot of companies, big companies, do before they bring out a product. They do product research, and it's very smart for authors to do the exact same thing, do some product research. It's going to look a little bit different, but it can be like just talking to readers. It can be like, I think events are a great place just to have those conversations with readers and just ask them questions. And then also just posting surveys. I do a survey with my email list, and then I usually will post like surveys in my Instagram stories just to get people to
Mm.
provide some feedback. I had a survey where I asked people what they wanted to see in the book box, and people were like, we want art prints and we want bookmarks. And I was like, okay, I already did that. So basically, what I heard was keep doing what you're doing because we like that. And so,
Mm.
yeah, that's been great. The one thing I did have people ask for were blankets for winter. I am not able to do that because the cost is ridiculous.
I can imagine.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So that's like the only thing that I've heard repeatedly that was like a little bit like, okay, yeah, I can't do that.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
just
do. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just saying like it is just like pretending you're the reader and like doing what they would do in order to find out what they like and talking to
Mm.
them, asking those questions.
Yeah, and so
Cool.
you mentioned the reader events, and I love how you embrace those opportunities and those reader events. So my question would be, are there good ones that you recommend for writers to look into, or how would you suggest writers in our audience go about finding a book event, a reader in-person event to be at?
Yeah, so I would actually start small with your local bookstore. There are so many different bookstores that offer those events and they have like authors come in. So I would start there and then looking up like the events that are like in your area. A lot of the times I have like invites to all of these like really big like fantasy romance events, and they're very like curated and expensive, and you need to travel. But those are great to go to because it is just like authors and readers, and it's just really fun to just to go and like walk through the aisles and like talk to people. I would say like even for these events, you don't have to go as an author that's setting up a booth and selling. You can just go and like talk to readers and talk to authors, and it's a great way to network as well. And so definitely don't feel like you have to like do all this stuff to like set up a booth and sell books. You can do the research just by like going and participating. And that's a fantastic way.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You've given us so much amazing advice. I feel like I'm going to need to go back and rewatch this because there's so much I want to like process. But if you could give one piece of advice to someone to get started in marketing, what would that be?
I would say have a learning mindset, really just soak it in and be willing just to start and take risk, because everything can always be perfected and you can always do it over and over again. You just need to start. And so that's what my advice would be. Just get started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
That's awesome. Yeah. Angela, thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing your wealth of knowledge and wisdom and experience. That is so very helpful, not just for Cindy and I, who get the joy of seeing you quite frequently, but also for our readers and viewers on YouTube that don't have access to this kind of indie author that is going to share this kind of information with them. So as always, it's been a joy to chat with you and pick your brain. I wish that everyone had you as an amazing resource, the way that our writers group does. But we so appreciate you being with us today.
Yeah.
I appreciate this. Thank you for having me on. It's been
This is
delightful.
fun. Yes. We want to thank everyone for joining us. We are so thankful for your continued support. So until we see you next time, may your words reflect his truth, your stories point to his grace, and your calling remain rooted in Christ. Bye, everyone.
Thank you for listening. This episode is over, but your writing journey continues. Visit saraturnquist.com to find links to help you achieve your writing dream.